After 5 years apart, she discovered an incredible truth: her billionaire ex married their nanny. Emma couldn't help but laugh as she balanced 2 pumpkins and a fresh loaf of bread at the bustling Maplewood Farmers Market. The sun cast golden rays over the colorful stalls, illuminating her daughter Lily's beaming smile as she admired a bouquet of candied apple flowers. Surrounded by laughter and camaraderie, everything felt perfect. But just as she began to relax, a chill crept up her spine. It was him. Jack. The man who had shattered her world. Her heart thudded painfully against her chest as he approached. Dressed in an expensive suit, the glint of his watch caught the light, a testament to the wealth they once shared. Next to him stood Sarah, their former nanny, laughing with a sparkle in her eye that Emma couldn't help but envy. They were engaged, and every particle of warmth flowed from Emma's heart, leaving behind a hollow coldness. The whispers began like a soft breeze, growing into a tornado of murmurs that swept through the market. Can you believe it? Their nanny? She was always so close, each word stung, like tiny thorns pricking at her pride. She felt raw, exposed, caught in a spotlight she never wanted to share. The glossy magazine covers featuring Jack and Sarah's lavish love were a cruel reminder of a life she'd fought hard to rebuild after the betrayal. Emma's mind raced. Was this how their story would end? With her living in the shadows of their gilded life? Determined not to let the community's buzz seep into Lily's spirit, a fire ignited within her. She had to teach her daughter that dignity mattered more than gold. With every heartbeat, her anger wrestled with despair. Should she seek revenge, or rise above this humiliation? Just then, a flicker of clarity broke through her storm of emotions. She remembered Sarah's struggles and the past trials that seemed far removed from the fairy tale the community adored. Emma clenched her jaw. Life wasn't black and white, it was complex, with layers of pain and understanding. But the gilded facade of Jack's new life was suffocating. However, surrendering to bitterness would only entrap her further. Suddenly, the energy around them shifted. The gathering crowd began to murmur about a crisis in the neighborhood. An old tree had fallen, damaging homes and threatening the very heart of Maplewood. Women rushed to their houses, while men scrambled to pitch in. Emma felt a pang of urgency. This was her chance to show strength, to unite while others ran for shelter. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Taking a deep breath, Emma rallied the neighbors. She watched their faces flicker from indignation to determination. They weren't as divided as the gossip suggested, they were bound by shared history, and for a moment, even her shattered heart felt lighter. But as Jack's choices rippled through their lives, Emma realized that healing for her, for them all, might require more than just resilience. Standing at the center of the unfolding chaos, she felt the weight of decisions looming ahead. Could she embrace forgiveness? Could it weave a new thread for their fractured community? Emma gripped Lily's hand, her mind swirling with questions. How far would she need to bend before the storm subsided? As she prepared to step into the fray, she couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would change everything. Emma felt surge after surge of adrenaline as she moved through the crowd, shouting commands and rallying her neighbors to action. Every face bore a blend of worried determination and a flicker of hope, ignited by her calm resolve. They came together, forming a chain of hands to remove fallen branches and assess the damage. The sense of community, a warmth she thought had been extinguished amid her turmoil, flickered back to life. Lily, watching with wide eyes, grasped her mother's hand tightly. "Mom, are we going to help everyone?" she asked, her innocent voice ringing clear. "Yes, sweetie," Emma said, forcing a smile. "We're going to make it better." As they worked, Emma found herself standing beside Clara, a longtime neighbor with whom she hadn't spoken much since the divorce. Clara's hands were rough and calloused, but she wore her determination like armor. "You're stronger than I thought, Emma," Clara said, sweat glistening on her brow. "Don't let them get to you." Emma appreciated the support but felt a tightness in her chest. "It's hard, Clara." Every time I see Jack and Sarah together, it's like a dagger. Clara leaned in closer, her eyes serious. You know what I see? A woman who is turning her pain into power. You're not just surviving, you're rebuilding. Keep that fire burning. Before Emma could respond, her focus shifted back to the fallen tree, where a group of men were attempting to lift one of the larger branches. The sound of splintering wood echoed, startling her momentarily back to the truth of her situation. Jack's laughter echoed in her mind, and she took a deep breath. As they lifted this branch together, Emma caught Jack's eye across the market. He was helping Sarah adjust a loose strap on her dress, brushing a strand of hair from her face while she laughed dearly. That looked the unfiltered joy he now had cut deeper than anything she could have imagined. A flicker of insecurity began to creep in. Was she truly worthy of that kind of happiness again? But the proud faces of her neighbors around her pulled Emma back to the moment. She couldn't let nostalgia or envy destroy the foundation she was building. With every branch removed, every laugh shared, she was reclaiming parts of her life that had been overshadowed by regrets. Then, just as the sun dipped behind the trees, casting a golden glow across Maplewood, a loud crack reverberated through the air. Another tree branch fell nearby this time, right by where Jack and Sarah stood. A gasp spread through the crowd. Jack! Emma shouted instinctively, her heart racing. Before she could even comprehend what she was doing, she rushed toward them. Fear twisted her insides as she charged through the throng, desperate to make sure everyone was safe. People parted before her, and time almost slowed. She reached them just in time to see Jack push Sarah aside, but he stumbled, losing his balance. Emma braced herself as she reached out, grasping onto Jack's arm to prevent him from falling down. In a swift motion, their eyes locked, and Emma felt an electric jolt shoot through her. Both their hearts raced, caught between a past too tangled to ignore and a present still so uncertain. Thank you, Jack murmured breathlessly, and for a moment, the world around them vanished. Then Lily's voice broke through the spell. Mom, are you okay? Emma turned to her daughter, piercing together their worlds of chaos and confusion. She stood there with Jack, fuming anger and curiosity swirling like a storm within. Was this the chance for reconciliation, or another step into pain? With a sense of looming uncertainty, Emma finally released Jack's arm, only to see Sarah's expression twisted into a grimace not of worry, but jealousy. Emma clenched her fists, her mind firing off questions faster than her heart could beat. She knew she could no longer ignore her own feelings and unresolved history. The path before her seemed foggy, but she had to confront the truth. As the last light of day faded, Emma took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. Would she let the past dictate her future, or was this finally the moment to reclaim her story? Emma stood frozen for a moment, uncertainty swimming in her mind like a storm. She glanced at Lily, who tugged insistently at her shirt, eyes wide with worry. In that instant, all the chatter of the crowd faded away. It was as if the world had narrowed down to the small patch of space between her, Jack, and Sarah. Mom? Lily's small voice cut through the noise, pulling Emma's attention back. Are we helping? Yes, honey, we are, Emma replied, though her heart was still racing for a reason she couldn't quite grasp. There was no time to sort through all these feelings, not now. Jack cleared his throat, visibly shaken, his one-time easy smile replaced with something unrecognizable. I'm fine, he assured them, but his eyes lingered on Emma, searching for something, maybe forgiveness or perhaps understanding. For a moment, Emma felt a flicker of the past stirring within her. They had once shared so many glances like this, unspoken promises and dreams intertwined, now shattered by choices in time. Thanks to you, Jack added, breaking the moment. You were right there. There was a softness in his voice that drew Emma closer, a reminder of the shared connection that still shimmered beneath their strained surface. But Sarah stepped forward, arms crossed and eyes narrowing. Are you always going to play the hero, Emma? She challenged, her tone sharp. Emma could feel the tension rising. Sarah's jealousy hung thick in the air, palpable and stinging. Just helping out, Emma replied lightly, even while her heart thudded heavily in her chest. Lily interjected, pointing at the fallen branch. Look, Mom. We have to clear it. A collective effort brought the crowd back into action, and as everyone gathered, Emma focused on the task at hand. They worked together, muscles straining, hands tangled, laughter threading through the air. Clara shouted encouragements, pulling Emma from her spiral with every cheer. Yet as the adrenaline faded, the weight of the moment pressed down on Emma. She threw a glance over to where Jack and Sarah were talking, heads bent close. Despite the chaos surrounding them, she couldn't help but feel like an outsider looking in on something that once belonged to her. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that danced across the ground. With every passing moment, Emma felt an internal battle, waging fear of what Jack's return might mean versus the determination to reclaim the fragments of her life that had shattered. "Are you all right?" Clara asked as she joined Emma to pull on a stubborn branch. The intensity of their breathless exertion provided a backdrop to the weight of unsaid words. "I don't know," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I can keep doing this, Clara. Every time I see him," she swallowed hard, struggling to find her footing. "He is not your enemy, you know." "Past love doesn't just disappear," Clara said gently, her strong hands resting on Emma's shoulder for reassurance. "You're stronger than this. You've got to decide what you want, and go after it." "But what if I want a future, and the past just keeps pulling me back?" Emma replied, pain clutching her throat. The uncertainty of it all filled the empty spaces in her heart. In the midst of their labor, time trudged on, and by nightfall, they organized a makeshift gathering under soft, flickering lights strung between trees. The mood was lighter as neighbors exchanged stories and laughter over shared meals, but Emma felt heavy. She grabbed Lily and wrapped her arms around her. "What if everything changes?" she whispered, more to herself than her daughter. Lily looked up, her innocent blue eyes glinting under the growing twilight. "But Mom, isn't change good?" "It means new things are coming," she said earnestly. As Emma watched the others, a flicker of hope nestled within her heart. Maybe Lily was right. If she could shift her perspective, perhaps it didn't need to feel so overwhelming. But as laughter erupted across the crowd, her gaze snagged on Jack. He was laughing with Sarah, and that familiar pang tugged at her again. What was she going to do? The laughter might mask the hurt, but it wouldn't erase it. The past didn't just linger, it clawed at the edges of her thoughts. Tomorrow would bring fresh possibilities, yet the truth remained. Which path would she choose? And what would it cost her? As the stars twinkled overhead, she couldn't shake the feeling that one small decision would change everything. Would she dare to confront her past and embrace the unknown of her future? The night air buzzed with the warmth of conversation and the flicker of string lights, but Emma felt a chill creeping in. The sight of Jack, animated and carefree with Sarah, left her chest tight. She turned away, forcing a smile as Clara approached, holding a plate of food. "Want a bite?" Clara offered, but Emma could barely manage a nod. The smell of grilled burgers wafted through the air, mingling with the swirling emotions in Emma's heart. "Everything all right?" Clara asked, taking a seat beside her on the picnic bench. "Just processing," Emma said, glancing around at the gathering of friends. Laughter rang out, but it felt distant. She could hear the echoes of her past memories of happier times with Jack flooding in. Clara raised an eyebrow. "You know, it wouldn't hurt to talk to Jack. Those small glances can speak volumes." Emma sighed. "And what happens if I do? Do I open a door that I can't close again? This isn't just about me anymore, Clara. It's about Lily too. Nothing wrong with feeling. Just because you have a past doesn't mean there isn't a future waiting," Clara said softly, her supportive gaze unwavering. Emma could feel the heaviness of her thoughts wrap around her. "It's not that simple. What if it leads to more hurt?" "You won't know unless you try," Clara encouraged. "You're not the only one who taught Lily what love looks like. It's time you start teaching her how to be brave." Lily picked that moment to dash over, her face glowing with excitement, holding out a colorful drawing she had created earlier. "Look, Mom. I drew us all together. You, me, and him." She pointed at Jack with innocent pride. Emma's heart clenched again. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. I love how you captured our family," she replied, fighting back tears as she glanced toward Jack. He caught her eye for a moment, and something flickered in the space between them. "Why doesn't he come and see the drawing?" Lily asked, practically bouncing on her feet. The question hung in the air like a silent challenge. Emma hesitated. She didn't want to ruin the girl's joy by her own turmoil. But the gentle shove from Clara's presence urged her to act. A deep breath filled her lungs, and she stood. "Okay, let us invite him over," she said, surprising even herself. Clara gave her an encouraging smile as Emma steeled herself and crossed the grass toward Jack. Jack looked up, that something still lingering in his eyes. "Hey, Emma," he said, a cautious smile breaking through. "Lily wanted to show you something," Emma said, her voice steady, though her heart raced. Lily bounded up behind Emma, holding her masterpiece high. "Look, Daddy! I drew us. We're a family." For a brief moment, the world fell silent. Jack's expression shifted, surprise melding into warmth as he knelt down to admire the drawing. "Wow, Lil, this is fantastic," he praised, his eyes lighting up, and for a moment, all the hurt seemed to fade away. Emma watched, uncertain of what this moment would mean, but then Sarah approached, and the air shifted again. "Is everything okay here?" she asked, arms crossed, eyes searching. Emma's heart sank. "Just a family moment," she said, trying to retain a sense of calm. "Looks more like you're crying," Sarah shot back, a hint of malice edging her voice. Before Emma could respond, Lily piped in, "No, Mommy is happy. And we all should be happy together." Jack stood up, glancing back and forth between Sarah and Emma as if torn. "Maybe we ought to." "No," Sarah interrupted. "This is just a ridiculous act, Jack. What are you doing?" Emma felt the heat rise in her chest, anger mixing with confusion. "Stop," she said firmly, surprising even herself as the words slipped out. "This isn't about you, Sarah." Jack's gaze turned serious. "Emma, let me explain." Communication was plugging the gaps now, but as the tension thickened, Emma realized a wall had formed once more. The safety of past love felt both comforting and constraining, and somewhere deep inside, a choice loomed closer. With emotions swirling like a tempest in her heart, Emma knew this moment would shape everything that followed. What would happen if she let Jack explain? Would it lead to healing, or just reopen old wounds? The answers danced tantalizingly out of reach as she stood on the precipice of transformation. She took a breath, ready to step forward into whatever lay ahead, not just for her, but for Lily too. Would she finally unlock the truth behind their tangled past, or would the shadows close in once again? Emma's heartbeat quickened as she focused on Jack's face, searching for some sign of the man she once knew. The air felt heavy with unspoken words, filled with tension and unshed tears. "Emma," Jack began, his voice steady but low. He seemed more vulnerable than she remembered, as if he was trying to peel back layers of their complicated history. "I didn't mean for you to feel like this. I thought what?" Emma interrupted, the anger bubbling beneath her surface. "That everything would just go back to normal? That I'd be okay with you moving on like I didn't exist?" He flinched at her tone, but then his expression softened. "I was just trying to be happy. For all of us. I didn't realize it would hurt you." Emma glanced down to where Lily was beaming at Jack and fiddling with her drawing, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. It struck her how innocent their daughter was, caught in this whirlwind of adult emotions. "Lily is happy, but this isn't just about her," Emma said, wanting him to see her pain. "Then let us talk about it," Jack urged, stepping closer. "I want to hear how you feel." "I want us." "Of course you do," Sarah interjected with mock sweetness, cutting into the moment like a knife. "But this isn't the time or place for your little reunion." Emma's pulse raced. "Sarah, just back off. You're making this worse." "Worse? Really? Because all I see is a desperate woman clinging to something that was over years ago." Sarah's voice dripped with disdain. Jack turned to Sarah, a familiar irritation on his face. "Can we not do this now? Please?" That plea ignited something in Emma. It was a cry of desperation, not just for them, but for the family she yearned to have. "Jack, if you want to talk, then let us talk. But don't drag her into it," she said, cutting her gaze back to Sarah, who crossed her arms defiantly. Jack nodded slowly, his eyes searching hers, and for a moment, she thought she saw the flicker of the love they'd shared. "You're right. We need to do this. I can't pretend either, and I miss Jack? Lily interrupted, tugging at his sleeve impatiently. Are we still going to have fun? Can we go play the game over there? That innocent spark reminded Emma of why this mattered. Yes, Lil. Let us play, she said, forcing a smile as she knelt to her daughter's level. A wave of love washed over her as she took Lily's hand. I can't just ignore this, Jack said, his gaze pleading. I wasn't happy because I didn't want to drag you back in. You've already dragged me in, Jack. Emma shot back, letting the hurt slip through the cracks. You don't get to decide that. You've created a new life, and now I have to figure out how to live with it. The laughter around them felt distant as she turned her back on Sarah and Jack, leading Lily across the grass like a lifeline. She needed space to breathe, to figure out her own heart amidst the chaos, but behind her, she could feel Jack's eyes burning into her back, the unexamined love and a whole world of memories waiting quietly. The distance between them was more than space, it was a chasm of choices, regrets, and unanswered questions. As Emma breathed in the fresh night air, she realized that every step she took forward came with its own weight. What if letting Jack back in was the step she needed, not just for herself but for Lily too? Or was it merely a reckless gamble that could tear them further apart? Her heart raced as she felt Jack approaching, but this time it wasn't anger or sadness she sensed in him. It was a flicker of hope. Emma chose to face it, and as she turned back to him, the truth of what they had, and what they could still become, hung heavy in the air. Would she dare to leap into the unknown yet again, or would fear keep her anchored to the past? The decision loomed in front of her, a crossroads of possibility. Before she could decide, a voice broke through the gathering clouds of doubt. Emma, I found something you need to see. Clara called from across the yard, her voice firm, yet anxious. Emma felt a twist in her gut. What was Clara about to reveal? In that moment, Emma knew the future. She thought she could control was about to shift again. Emma's stomach dropped at the sound of Clara's voice, urgency woven through every word. She turned to see her friend with wide eyes, clutching something tightly in her hands as if it were both precious and dangerous. The weight of Jack's gaze still pressed against her, but Clara's call yanked her back toward a mystery that felt more immediate than their unraveling connection. Clara, what is going on? Emma asked, her heart pounding, a mix of anxiety and confusion bubbling just beneath the surface. Clara rushed over, her face flushed and anxious. I found this on my way out of the party, she said, extending her hand. In her palm lay a folded piece of paper, worn and creased. You need to see it. It's about Jack. Emma exchanged a glance with Jack, who now stood a few paces away, his expression twisted between curiosity and concern. The moment felt charged, popping with unseen energy. What could this be? Emma, I don't think you should ignore this, Clara pressed, eyes darting back to Jack. It was as if she sensed the emotional weight that lay between them. With trembling fingers, Emma took the paper from Clara and unfolded it. It took her a moment to process the jagged scrawl, words tumbling out like stones, unsettling her core. It spoke of a wedding, a celebration of love. Jack married their nanny? The words tasted sour in her mouth, an unwelcome truth spilling over the edges of her hopes. Wait, what? Jack stepped forward, his face a mixture of alarm and disbelief, his eyes darting to Clara and then back to Emma. What does that even mean? This can't be true. Emma's mind spiraled. She felt as if the very ground beneath her was shifting, pulling her away from the life she thought she had known. Clara, where did you find this? I overheard a conversation while getting some drinks. People were talking about Jack's new life, about the wedding last month and how they'd been together for a while, Clara said, her voice steady yet tinged with worry. It seems like you're not the only one in the dark here. Jack looked shocked, betrayed even, and his mouth moved as if he wanted to refute what had been said, yet no words came. Emma felt the air grow thin, reality tightening around her like a vice. Was this why you moved on so easily? Emma challenged Jack, hurt seeping into her words. How could you? Each question felt like a small blade, cutting deeper into the tension. I didn't know, Emma. I swear. Jack's voice rose, but his sincerity was drowned out by the escalating tension. I'm not the man this paper is talking about. I never married anyone. Lily, still blissfully unaware, called out. "Mom! Dad! Can we play now?" Her innocent voice rang like a bell, a reminder of the child they both loved, caught in the flames of an adult world ignited by secrets and lies. "Lily, honey, just give us a minute," Emma said softly, trying to mask her turmoil. Her heart sank as she glanced at her daughter, realizing that all of this chaos was swirling around them, potentially changing everything. Clara remained silent, her concern heavy. The papers still buzzed in Emma's trembling fingers. This revelation could uproot everything she believed and destroy whatever fragile connection remained with Jack. As she wrestled with the weight of the moment, a new wave of emotion washed over her. What if this was the push she needed to reclaim her life? Or was it a blow that would shatter not just her heart but Lily's world too? With that thought, Emma's resolve hardened. "We can't ignore this," she said, looking at Jack, who was now stricken with a blend of shock and desperation. "We need to figure this out. It's time to confront what's real and what isn't." As Jack opened his mouth to respond, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face, and before he could speak, Clara stepped in. "Emma, just remember you deserve the truth, no matter how painful it might be." Emma's heartbeat quickened at the weight of Clara's words. She could feel the world teetering on the edge, each revelation pulling her closer to a moment she could no longer avoid. What lay ahead would force her to redefine everything she believed about love, trust, and the future. "Wait, what about our plans?" Jack finally said, his voice cracking slightly as the reality loomed over them all. "Are we really going to unravel everything now?" The moment hung thick in the air, and Emma found herself standing at another crossroads. Truths were about to tumble, and she felt the pull of inevitability swirl around her. With every breath, she sensed that clarity was coming, but what if the answers she sought were more devastating than she could ever imagine? The next chapter of their tangled lives had begun, and she braced herself for the storm ahead. Emma stood at the center of turmoil, her heart racing as Clara's words echoed in her mind. The paper trembled in her hand, its revelation threatening to upend everything she believed about Jack. The world around her faded, and all she could focus on was the damage that could be done if she didn't confront it. Jack's eyes flickered with uncertainty, worry etched into the lines of his face. "Emma," he started again, his voice soft but edged with desperation. But she didn't want to hear any pleasantries. "No. You don't get to say my name like this." "Hasn't crushed everything between us?" she interrupted, her voice rising. "You lied to me, Jack. Or at the very least, you let me believe that we had a future all while you were building another life with someone else." "Stop." Clara's voice was firm, cutting through the thick atmosphere. "This isn't helping. We need to approach this differently, calmly." She looked at Jack, her expression softening just enough to allow him a sliver of dignity. "We need answers, not accusations." Emma took a deep breath, the weight of her anger almost overwhelming. She reluctantly nodded, letting Clara's pragmatic approach guide her thoughts. Behind her, Lily's tiny footsteps pat across the floor, the innocence in her eyes stark against the swirling chaos around them. Emma fought to maintain her composure. "Jack," Clara said, "you have to tell her the truth. Whatever it is." Jack's shoulders slumped slightly, as if he was surrendering to a burden he had carried for too long. "Okay. I will, but you have to promise to listen without jumping to conclusions." His gaze was steady, locked onto Emma's. "I never married anyone. Not the way you think." Emma felt the air thicken as the weight of his statement settled in. "Then what's this about?" she asked, almost fearing the answer. The truth felt both tantalizing and terrifying. "It's complicated," he admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "There was never a wedding, not a real one. Just a civil situation that got blown out of proportion. I met someone who worked for my family. Long story short, she was there for me during a rough patch after you left. We were in each other's lives and it got messy." "What do you mean, messy?" Emma pressed, her heart aching, a whirlwind of emotions crashing against each other. "We were trying to navigate our own pain. She and I were just," he hesitated, seeking the right words, "companions in heartbreak, but it never felt like a real relationship to me. Like we were just filling the gaps left behind." When I got back on my feet, I ended it. I never thought it would lead to rumors like this. I never wanted any of it. The raw emotion in his voice cracked through Emma's defenses, but she was still hesitant. And now? Where does that leave us? Where does that leave Lily? Could you really let someone else fill the role you have in her life? Jack's expression was pained, remorse clawing at his throat. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, Emma. I thought we'd find our way back somehow, but I can see now how naive that was. Clara, sensing the turmoil, stepped closer to Emma. You need to decide how you want to handle this. It's your life, and Lily's, too. Emma's eyes darted between Clara and Jack, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. This was the moment she had to reclaim control, to define what this tangled web of emotions meant for her future. She could almost feel the weight of hope and fear intertwining. Jack, she said slowly, her voice steadying. If there's any truth left for us to piece together, we need to come together and not apart. But you have to fully commit to being here. With me, with Lily. No echoes of the past, no more baggage. He nodded, hope flickering in his eyes as if she had just reignited something deep within him. Yet, Emma couldn't shake a gnawing worry. But can we really go back? Can we wipe the slate clean? The question hung heavily between them, charged with anticipation of what lay ahead. Just then, Lily sidled up beside Emma, her small hand reaching for her mother. Can we play now? What's wrong? As Emma knelt to Lily's level, her heart swelled with emotion. Everything centered on being a good mother now. But deep down, she sensed the storm wasn't over, it was only just beginning. Give us a moment, sweetheart, she said softly, forcing a smile. Could she mend broken pieces while protecting the innocence of her daughter? And in that moment, Emma wondered, could she and Jack really face the chaos together, or was there too much tension in the air to ever find peace again? The decisions ahead felt monumental, daunting. But she had to know, what did the next chapter hold? Emma knelt in front of Lily, wrapping her arms around her little girl as if holding her would shield them both from the emotional tempest swirling just beyond their small circle of safety. Let us play, okay? She said, her voice soft but laced with an undercurrent of tension. Lily's innocent eyes sparkled with delight, and Emma couldn't help but smile, even as her heart ached. Can we play dress up first? Lily chirped, pulling away and bouncing on the balls of her feet. Emma nodded, grateful for the distraction, and watched as her daughter scampered over to the toy chest. As Lily rummaged through the colorful chaos of costumes, Emma stole a glance back at Jack. He stood there, rigid yet vulnerable, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Emma, he started again, his voice a mere whisper trying to cut through the noise of childhood laughter. I need you to understand that I've wanted to talk every day since you left. I've wanted to be there, make things right, but it wasn't that easy. She held up a hand, a firm gesture to halt his train of thought. You say it wasn't easy, but what about my easy? What about my choices? My life? You took that away by not being honest, by keeping things from me. Clara shifted position, her role as mediator weighing heavy. Let us stay focused here, she interjected gently. You both need time to process, but right now, life is happening. Lily returned, wearing a sparkly tiara and a fluffy pink cape that swished as she turned. Look, Mommy! I'm a princess! She exclaimed, her laughter slicing through the tension, momentarily bringing warmth to Emma's chest. Yes, my beautiful princess, Emma said, hopelessly enchanted by Lily's joy, even as doubts gnawed at her insides. How could everything feel so delicate and fragile when their little world was painted pink and purple? Jack knelt to Lily's level, his face almost unreadable. You look amazing, Lily, he said, his tone light as he tried to connect with her. It broke Emma's heart more to see him like this, trying to grasp something precious that he had been missing for too long. Jack! Lily beamed, holding out her hand. Do you want to play with us? For a moment, he hesitated, and Emma could see the weight of his choices pressing against him like a heavy cloak. Would it be a commitment? Would the act of playing with their daughter mean giving this whole situation hope? Sure, he said, forcing a smile as he took Lily's hand. What do we do first?
Emma's breath caught in her throat. Did it really matter? In this moment, she wanted to believe in the illusion that everything could be right. But then the crushing reality crept back in. Could all of this built-up hurt and betrayal really be healed? As Lily guided them into a playful dance, a thought sparked in Emma's mind: how could she allow Jack into their lives without exposing Lily to the risk of heartbreak again? Jack, I need to talk more about this. About us. About Lily. I can't let her get too attached while we're still figuring things out. He nodded, his jovial face turning serious again. I understand. I just want to be part of both your lives. I'll do whatever it takes. I promise you I'll show you that I mean it. The earnestness in his voice made Emma's heart flutter, and for an instant, hope battled with skepticism. Did she dare to believe him? Let us not jump too far ahead, Clara cautioned gently, stepping back as if to give them space. Take your time. Every small step matters. Lily tugged at Emma's sleeve, her eyes wide. Mommy, are we going to have a party? Emma knelt to her daughter's level, brushing back a strand of hair. We'll have a party when we're all ready, sweet girl. Right, Jack? Jack met her eyes briefly before nodding, but Emma could see the confusion there too, like a child lost in a maze with no clear way out. Right, he agreed, but a shadow lingered behind his conviction. As long as I'm part of it. The evening wore on, the laughter of Lily brightening the heavy atmosphere. Yet, in the corners of her heart, Emma knew the weight of their situation hadn't lightened. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden light through the window, her stomach churned with uncertainty. Could they truly carve a new path, or was this just another fleeting moment in an ever-unfolding saga? And as she watched Jack play with Lily, Emma wondered, was hope a dangerous thing to hold on to, or was it the very lifeline she needed to weather the storm? As the evening sun dipped further into the horizon, painting the room in shades of amber and rose, Lily twirled around, her laughter echoing against the walls like a sweet melody. Emma felt a small smile tugging at her lips, but it was fleeting. Her heart felt heavy under the weight of what lay ahead. Jack, kneeling beside their daughter, seemed to be slowly letting his guard down, yet doubts flickered in Emma's mind like candles in the wind. Can I be a prince now? Lily asked, her voice bursting with enthusiasm as she picked up a shiny toy sword from the floor. Of course, Emma replied, trying to push aside the tension in her heart. But every prince needs a cape. She rummaged through the trunk, feeling the textures of silk and cotton brush against her fingers, each fabric a reminder of dreams and disappointment. Jack watched with a tenderness that made Emma's heart flip. He joined in their game, picking out a raggedy royal cloak that had seen better days. Here you go, Prince Lily, he announced, draping it dramatically over her shoulders. Lily giggled as she struck a heroic pose, sword held high. Now I can save the kingdom. That's the spirit. Jack encouraged, and for an instant, his smile lit the room, pushing away shadows. Emma couldn't help but wonder if that joy could ever translate to something deeper. Feeling brave, she finally voiced her concern. Jack, her voice wavered at first, but she pressed on. What do you really want with us? I need to know if you're here for more than just a moment. He hesitated, the brightness in his eyes flickering. Emma, I want to be part of both your lives. I've missed so much time, and he swallowed hard. I know words mean little right now, but I'm ready to show you. To prove it. Emma felt her heart race. Every fiber of her being wanted to believe him, yet the shadows from the past whispered caution. The memories of betrayal, of sleepless nights spent wrestling with anger and sadness, loomed large, refusing to fade. Lily interrupted, giggling again. Mommy, can we have a party now? Princes always have parties. The innocence in her voice hit Emma like a wave. She nodded, a bittersweet smile on her face. Yes, sweet girl, we'll have a party soon. Jack grinned, sharing a knowing look with Emma, and for a moment, just for one fragile moment, the air felt lighter. But a nagging thought lingered at the edges of her mind. Could this really be a beginning? Or merely an illusion masking deeper scars? Just then, the doorbell chimed, shattering the serenity like glass shattering on a hard floor. Emma's heart raced again, displacing any fleeting calm they had crafted. Who could that be? She wondered aloud, her brow furrowing as she glanced at Jack.
I'll get it, he said quickly, rising to his feet.
But Emma's instincts flared. A feeling of unease washed over her.
She watched him walk toward the door, a mix of hope and anxiety twisting in her stomach. When Jack opened the door, a woman stood there, tall, with an air of confidence that made the air around her feel electric.
Emma's heart sank as she couldn't shake a sense of recognition, as if she'd seen this woman somewhere before. Is Jack here? The woman asked, an edge of familiarity in her voice. Emma's grip tightened on the edge of the toy trunk.
Jack looked back at her, confusion etched on his face.
Yes, I'm here. What's going on?
Emma managed, her voice shaking slightly.
Emma, this is Sarah, our former nanny,
Jack said, the weight of the revelation settling in the room like thick fog. Emma's breath caught. As she looked into Sarah's eyes, an understanding unfolded like a bad dream she couldn't wake from. The truth was about to unravel before her, but could she handle what came next? Emma stood frozen, every ounce of confusion and anger swirling inside her like a hurricane, a perfect storm of emotions crystallizing before her.
Sarah.
The name echoed through her mind like a bell tolling, reverberating with every bitter memory of betrayal.
Jack's ex-nanny was here, standing in her doorway. A blast from the past wrapped in costly designer clothes and a confident air. It felt unreal, as if a plot twist had been ripped from a melodrama on TV. Jack, what is she doing here? Emma's voice came out weaker than she intended.
She clenched her fists, grounding herself, the sparkle of Lily's laughter suddenly far away. Jack stepped toward Sarah, his brow knitted in confusion.
Why are you here?
He asked, his voice a mix of trepidation and a hint of apprehension. Sarah brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, her eyes darting between Jack and Emma like a spectator watching a tennis match. I came to talk to you, Sarah said, her tone assertive but oddly shaky.
About everything.
As those words hung in the air, they felt heavier than any weight Emma had ever carried. Emma's heart raced.
Everything? Is that what you thought you could just come in and do? Tear apart whatever fragile ground we've begun to build?
Lily, oblivious to the tension, stood there in her prince costume, delightful and hesitant.
Mom? Who's that? She asked, her innocent voice jolting Emma back to reality.
This was not just about her anymore, it was about their little girl.
Let us go play, sweetie, Emma said, forcing a smile that felt like a mask over the turmoil roiling inside.
She ushered Lily away to the corner, leaving Jack and Sarah their moment, an odd couple framed against the familiar backdrop of a life she'd worked so hard to rebuild.
Jack, I just wanted to explain, Sarah began, her voice now quivering slightly.
Emma caught bits of their exchange, how Sarah had been there during Jack's healing, how the loneliness of his past had led to uncertain connections.
I never tried to take anything away from you. It just happened, it was complicated. Complicated.
Emma scoffed, her resolve hardening at the sound of that word. Like a shield, it encased any weakness that threatened to emerge.
You think that's a good enough excuse?
Jack turned his head toward Emma, a plea for understanding etched on his face.
Emma, please. Let us just hear her out.
Oh, I can hear her loud and clear, Emma shot back, her gaze steady.
I get it, the story that gives you both a clean slate. But what about Lily? What about the clean slate I fought for? Sarah's expression turned desperate as she took a small step forward. I didn't mean to hurt you.
I cared for both of you. I just wanted to be someone you needed. Her words fell flat amidst the emotional debris. Emma's throat closed up. The well of heartbreak felt endless.
Need? Is that what it was? Because I think you needed a position, Sarah.
You needed a place in his world. The air crackled with tension, a palpable heaviness that filled the space in such a way that made breathing feel heavy. Jack scrubbed his face with his hands, frustration rippling through him.
This isn't about you two fighting over me.
It's about finding some kind of resolution for Lily. She deserves the truth.
At that moment, Emma found an unexpected ally within Jack.
It was just enough to broaden the cracks of his fragile world.
Okay, Emma said, her voice steadying. Let us lay it all out then. No more half-truths.
She crossed her arms, every muscle in her body tensed, ready for the weight of revelations.
Fine. Jack inhaled sharply.
Sarah means a lot to me, she helped me pick up the pieces after everything. But it didn't bloom into a relationship like everyone thinks, and I wish the world could see how we struggled.
This isn't about me choosing one life over the other.
How convenient it is to claim that now, Emma replied, feeling the surge of past pain pulse through her.
Emma, that's not fair, Sarah chimed in, her eyes narrow.
Things can get twisted, and sometimes they hurt, sometimes they just don't carry the weight people think they do.
Do the painful memories haunt you at night? Emma challenged, feeling a fierceness boil within.
She could already see the shadows of Sarah's ambitions and Jack's vulnerabilities merging into something that held no structure. The air hung heavy as silence fell among them, but it didn't last. Lily, true to her spirit, bounced in, her little cheeks flushed with joy.
Mom, look! Jack and I made a fort.
She led them to the corner where the two had built a makeshift kingdom with cushions and princess-printed sheets, an innocent sanctuary amidst the chaos. In that moment, something shifted inside Emma. The sight of a smiling Lily, beaming with joy, felt like a lifeline amidst the raging sea of emotions. She turned from the adult quarrels that battered the atmosphere and focused on her daughter.
Here was the truth.
Maybe, she said, barely above a whisper, turning to Jack.
Maybe what we need to figure out together is how to keep our family whole.
Let us not punish Lily for the mistakes of our past.
Jack met Emma's gaze, the confusion melting into understanding.
You're right. We need to stand united for her, no matter how complicated things have become. And there it was, his gaze softened, a silent vow in the intensity of those words. Emma took a step back, drawn into this idea of a connected family, this new version she had longed for. Perhaps, by facing their histories, they could weave a story that spoke of resilience, growth, and hope. They were not quiet, overboard victims of their choices. They were standing on the precipice of healing. Lily's laughter broke through as she twirled in the soft light, her joy infectious.
So can we have that party?
She chirped, eyes gleaming. Of course we can, sweetheart, Emma replied, her heart warming even through the tumult. A party, a celebration of our strength.
All of us.
As Jack nodded in agreement, Emma felt the winds shift. They were no longer lost in thickets of old wounds. They were forging ahead, their united front firm against the trials of the past. Despite the shadows that loomed overhead, Emma knew they could build a new story, even maybe especially in the face of turbulence. Change was right there on the horizon, waiting for them to take the first step forward. In that space, filled with laughter and the vibrant colors of childhood dreams, hope blossomed anew. They just needed to live it. And as they worked together, a family on their own terms, Emma smiled, for she truly believed this time they would get it right.
Now's the moment for you to join this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss our next exclusive story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these tales growing. Comment below your feelings about this transformative ending.
And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of change. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.